Good evening and welcome to the Friday night edition of SEC Baseball Reaction. I'm your host, Graham. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Graham Doty. The weather has got me all out of sync, just as it has this schedule. What a miserable night for baseball. 3 games rained out, several others starting late. As we do this, I think we've got 3 in the books. We've got Vanderbilt and Alabama finishing up potentially here, and Arkansas and Texas in the bottom of the 6th in the big spot for the Razorbacks, who are up 4 runs. Graham, disappointing night in the SEC. Didn't get to see the action we wanted to see, but Arkansas so far very impressive. We have Kyson Witherspoon doing Kyson Witherspoon things. J.D. Thompson was terrific tonight. For Vanderbilt, Georgia downs Missouri with 4 home runs. I think they all came kind of late in the game. And let's see. There's one other game that I've forgotten.
Carolina, Florida.
Yeah, that one is just getting started. You've got Auburn, Tennessee postponed. They got, half an inning in. Auburn led 2-0 on an Ike Irish home run, and the remainder is postponed to tomorrow. There'll be a doubleheader starting at 10 Central. LSU and A&M got postponed. Kentucky, Mississippi State postponed. And as we said, Florida, South Carolina still playing. Ole Miss, Oklahoma done. So I guess we've got, 2 games in the books, right?
Yes, finalized. Yes, the
Yeah.
Oklahoma Ole Miss game and Georgia Mizzou.
2 final, 3 in process. Vanderbilt should be over, I would think, maybe within 15 minutes. And then Arkansas, Texas has got a ways to go, but Arkansas is threatening to really blow this thing open here.
Yeah, Sonya is all over the map right now.
Yeah. Let's start in Norman, since that's the most notable one completed. You love this, don't you? Hey, Kyson Witherspoon, when he pitches like that, not a lot of teams are beating him seriously.
Yeah, I mean that's why he's in the conversation for SEC Pitcher of the Year. It's why he's going to be a first round draft pick. I mean, he just does what he always does. 7 innings tonight, another quality start. Only gave up 1 hit, struck out 8. He was in control. Like the only good news for Ole Miss, like you got Oklahoma to utilize 2 arms out of the
Yeah.
bullpen tonight. I mean that's really like the only positive you can take away. But good start in the series for Oklahoma. Anytime you got a bullet in the chamber that's as good as Kyson Witherspoon, like you're always going to have a chance.
Boy, Arkansas just missed a grand slam by about 3 feet. Justin Thomas would have made that a 10-1 game and said Texas, Arkansas will head to the 7th with Arkansas leading 7-1. But yeah, Crooks, how many pitches did Crooks throw tonight? That's the one I'd watch.
17.
Okay, so he can come back again, I would
Someday.
think. Yeah,
Probably game 3.
yeah.
But I mean, you never know. Obviously, it depends on what happens throughout the course of the game tomorrow. But I mean, I'm trying to think. Ole Miss faced Liam Doyle and now Witherspoon. Those are probably the 2 best arms. Maybe Thompson, but Ole Miss kind of got to Thompson for Vandy last week. So,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, one of the better arms in the league. You kind of see what happens. So, it's a big weekend though. Like Ole Miss is going to have to bounce back. This is a big series for both teams, each trying to not only host but potentially earn a national seed.
How did Hunter Elliott look? Looked like the typical Hunter Elliott box score where you don't really hit him, but he's lives on the edges and a lot of times not there with the pitches.
He
Um,
this was one of his better outings. So positives for Ole Miss. They didn't use Morris at all tonight. So Elliott goes 6 2/3, 7 strikeouts, 4 walks. Like what makes Hunter Elliott elite is, I mean, he's gonna walk guys, he's gonna hit guys. That's kind of been the theme this year. But what makes him good, none of that traffic on the bases really seems to phase or impact him. Like
yeah.
he's just seems to have a knack to navigate through it all. So he was good enough to win tonight. And then McCausland, an inning and a third, didn't give up a hit, struck out 3. So he was good. And again, the positive for Ole Miss, you do have Morris available, at some point in game 2 or game 3.
Yeah, I don't think Ole Miss is in awful shape pitching wise. I think Malachi Witherspoon's been pretty vulnerable to getting hit. Now, when Dylan Crooks is on and throwing 97 and locating, he can be a handful. And I don't know how Ole Miss hits lefties, but I don't think Ole Miss is in a bad spot. I think when Oklahoma plays on Fridays, I just kind of plan on them winning that game and then see what it goes like from there on.
I think I can't remember who off the top of my head, but Kyson has really only had like one bad outing. Like only one team in the league has been able to get to him so far. And that's going to happen at some point, but I mean, he's just absolute nails on Friday nights.
Am I crazy? But I mean, in a year where we don't have a defined number one, I mean, could be another one of the holiday kids, but I wonder if he keeps pitching like this, is he going to sneak into that conversation? Because man, he looks like a guy that could slot into big league rotation very soon. I mean, he's got great stuff, and he is very polished, in my opinion.
Kyson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm watching the Arkansas-Texas game, and at one point in the middle of this, they had the graphic of just, like, all the highlights from, like, pitching performances so far. And it was the 2 Arkansas pitchers, Kyson Witherspoon and then Thompson for Vandy. And Kyle Peterson has the Texas-Arkansas series. He said every single one of these guys is a big league arm. So, that kind of tells you the caliber of what you're working with.
You know what I really like about him? This is what I think is underrated and does not get mentioned enough is pitching efficiency. Like a lot of times, guys who are high strikeout guys will end up throwing a lot of pitch. Like Liam Doyle does this sometimes, right? Like sometimes Doyle comes out and gets you 6 innings of one hit ball or no hit ball and throws 72 pitches. But sometimes Doyle's in the 90s, and can't get to inning 5. I feel like Kyson Witherspoon is always that guy. He'll strike out some guys, but he's going to not get super high pitch counts before he's got a chance to get into the middle innings. And the thing I like about him is when I watch him, Graham, he really continues to go after guys. Like I remember he just went after Trey Phelps last week. They had an epic at bat, and he was still challenging him with fastballs and like, it was a spot that he could have tapped out, said, all right, next man. He's at 100 pitches or so, and he keeps battling. And he also is able to hold his velo and I think his command, into the 90 pitch or more mark. And that to me is what makes a starting pitcher really special, especially at that age.
Especially the command part of it, which you allude to. I think my main takeaway is like when we visited with Skip Johnson, I know we talk about it all the time, but it was great. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. But we talked to him in January, and he told us in January that Kyson, but the difference between the 2 twins, he said Kyson is like super intense and he's going to go after you. Like no matter the count, no matter the situation, that's his style, that's his personality. And I just remember that sticking out from Skip when he's talking about the difference between the 2. And you certainly see it when you watch Kyson Witherspoon pitch. I mean, he's outstanding, and I would be stunned if he doesn't make the big leagues at some point throughout the course of his career.
Yeah, and I guess he's a little bit less efficient tonight. He walked 3 in 7 innings, hit 3, but Ole Miss kind of crowds the plate and gets hit by a lot of pitches and takes a lot of walks when I've seen him play. I think you've talked about, don't they lead the conference in walks?
They do, yeah. They just get up. They're not really a singles or like a doubles hitting team. They just get on base and then smash home runs. That's been the recipe for success for Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I mean when you've got a team like that and you've only given up 1 hit and free passes or single bases, you can probably pitch around some guys a little bit and maybe nibble a little bit more than he ordinarily would. Because he had a free pass rate of 8% coming in tonight, which is elite in college ball.
I meant to look it up. Do we know what the weather was, mainly wind-wise in Norman? The reason when Ole Miss played at Mizzou in Colombia, like they played in a windstorm. They like the series, the wind was blowing at like 40, 50 miles an hour. I don't care who you're playing. When you're playing in an environment like that, it's tough.
I see. I might be able to find it here. I mean, they had that LSU series, which was kind of epic for the weather, in a bad way. Sometimes they'll put that on the game notes, and I'll see if they're going to do that here. It was 69 miles an hour with a 12-mile-an-hour north-northwest wind. I'm presuming that was at first pitch.
You mean the temperature was 69?
Oh, yeah, 69 degrees with a
Yeah,
12-mile-an-hour wind.
It was 70-mile-an-hour winds. Jeez.
Well, I mean, it's Oklahoma. You never know, but
Yeah, nobody would wear hats for that game.
no. Vandy's kind of broken it open here. R.J. Austin has hit a home run, which he really needed. He's been slumping, and I think that's the first one he's hit since opening night.
Yeah, I was watching this game. Did you go? Did you go? By the way, I know you were.
No, I was going to go. I was going to go and try to make it back for the live stream tonight. But when the first pitch got put back to 7:30, I was like, I'll have to leave the ballpark early.
Okay. Well, I watched a good bit of this game, and really the difference was a sixth inning. Vandy did what they just tend to do to teams, and they just started to get on base and put pressure. Like Justin LeBron made a bad error. That would have helped out Bama big time in that spot. So it just feels like once Vandy took the lead, it's just been a snowball effect in their favor. They've scored 3 runs in each of the last 3 innings.
Well, the different thing in that game was J.D. Thompson was untouchable. The sliders was as good as I've ever seen it. The fastball he located pretty well. He flashed a changeup when he needed it, and Alabama just was not hitting it tonight. Alabama didn't get any runs till Miller Green came in, who was their closer to start the season, and he's just kind of been I'm not going to say a train wreck since the Auburn series. He gave up that grand slam to Cade Ballou that lost in that game and just has not been the same guy. I mean, he was a Team USA guy last year, and they keep giving him chances. And I don't know, maybe he'll get the 9th here with Vanderbilt up 9-2 and actually looking for more here, or they could just walk it off here. That's another option.
So was Fade, was that scheduled?
Yeah, he's been their guy. He's been more of an opener than a starter, but he was really around the zone. He's ground ball, not a super ground ball heavy guy, but he'll get some of them, and that's a team that'll hit a lot of them, and it just worked pretty well. Vanderbilt did scatter some hits, but they couldn't string anything together until he was late in his appearance.
Gotcha. Okay. I had a game tonight as well. So when I got back to the room and cut it on, I was like, "What? They're going Fade tonight?" So
yeah, no, he's been opening for them for a while. They put Adams from 1 to 3.
Okay, and Riley Quick, game 2. He's massive though.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though. If I'm Rob Vaughn, I'm not happy with losing 9-2 or whatever this ends up being, but I am happy about how he threw. And then they threw some other guys in relief that, once it got a little bit out of hand are not guys they would probably use on SEC weekends. So they've still got Carson Osmer to go.
Mm-hmm.
Quick can easily give them 6. Not easily, but he's capable of giving them 6. And if Adams is back on track for them, they've still got a shot here. Now, the problem is they'll run into Connor Fennell on Sunday, but they didn't use Alcock. I don't know if he threw midweek. They haven't used JT Blackwood. They used a couple guys I didn't even know were on the roster. So,
yeah. And if you're in the stream, if you have not watched Connor Fennell pitch, I highly recommend it because there's nobody like him. I literally can't think of anybody that does what he does. He uses the pitch clock to his advantage.
Yeah.
He's all about speed and tempo.
Stuff moves a lot and just won't top 88. There's nobody in college baseball that I've seen like him.
Yeah.
Let's talk Georgia for just a minute. Because we didn't go into that one. Georgia got home runs from 4 guys. Christian Adams, Nolan McCarthy got 1. He'd been in a slump. They've got enough bats without him hitting, but when Nolan McCarthy's really hitting, that's a better lineup. Slate Alford got another one because Slate Alford gets at least 1 every weekend, and then Kolby Branch got 1. Brian Curley was 7 shutout, pretty good. Missouri did threaten, but was unable to really put anything across against him. And for Missouri, Brady Kellenbrink was pretty good for 4 and change tonight. Missouri had that game 1-0 until, I don't know, the 6th or the 7th, and then Georgia just broke it open.
Yeah, they really did. By the way, before I start talking about this series, we got to give a shout out to Carter, Super Chat, a Mizzou fan. Chris, he might be our first Mizzou fan in the chat we've had
I think
all
we've had a
season.
couple.
So we
Yeah.
appreciate you watching.
Thank you, Carter. I forgot to shout you out just getting into the show flow. Carter's been here a lot. I think he's been here on our basketball stuff. That's very kind, man. You didn't need to do that, being a college student and all, but it's appreciated. And we always appreciate your super chats. Those things help us keep the lights on. Carter, I'll tell you this. I hope that you get a better product to pull for in the near future.
Well, I'm hoping after, we've talked about it this week, Mizzou's making they're shaking hands and kissing babies this week going on their tours. So they're finally getting asked by media about the product on the field on baseball, and it feels like, they might start to address it. So hopefully they will, start to give Carrick Jackson and his staff, a little bit of resources to work with. But if you're Georgia, good bounce back performance for them. Just anytime you went on the road, you'll certainly take it. And Georgia did what they lead the country in home runs, and they got 4 more tonight. So this is kind of what we anticipated, double-digit hits as well. Curley, good enough on the road. 6 strikeouts, didn't walk anybody. You'll take that. He was under 100 pitches as well. So good start for Georgia.
I almost wonder if going 0-30 would be better than going like 8-22, because like they've gone 8-22 ish before, and nobody bats an eye. Go 0-30 has really increased the chatter there considerably.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I agree with you. And to answer Wes May's question, I don't think Lemonis would do. I don't think he would take the job at Missouri if the job was to open up. I think somebody like Lemonis is going to have options, whether it be being a head coach somewhere in the Power Four or being like a super, super high assistant somewhere.
Yeah. Let's see what else. I think that's all the games that are in the books. Let's talk Arkansas, Texas, because my goodness, Gage Wood tonight and Gabe Gackle had been the version you hoped. You pair that with the way Root threw last night. Man, I swear I was going to pick Arkansas because it just felt like a bounce back spot. And then we started reading off the injury reports, and it was pretty gnarly for the Razorbacks. What you've had instead is guys step it up pitching wise. You've had bit players step it up as they have gotten in the lineup this weekend. And Arkansas is looking through 15 innings of baseball against Texas as good as it's looked all year.
I see Josh in the chat. The most obvious series ever was Arkansas winning at home after losing 3 straight series. Was it obvious? I mean, I know Josh isn't as high on Texas as a lot of people. To me, it was tough because just listening to Dave Van Horn, I mean, his message very clearly was like, we have to focus on us, address us. Don't worry about who we're playing. It just happens to be we're playing the number 1 team in the country. So one thing for Texas, I was curious about, what would they look like on the road in a situation like this against a very good team? This was the largest crowd this season for Arkansas tonight. The place is packed, over 11,000. And I guess I'm more worried about, at least for the moment, the Texas offense. I know Josh probably feels like he's been screaming it up to the moon forever. That the Texas offense isn't as good as some of the other ones in the league. I mean,
yeah,
even the series they've been winning, they've been nail biters. Like when's the last time Texas scored 5 runs in an SEC game? It feels like it's been a minute.
Well, statistically, from the runs scored and runs allowed perspective, they've been the most overachieving team in the league. They're more like a 10-loss team than a 5-loss team coming into the weekend. But I treat that a little bit with a grain of salt because I look at how you do it, right? They just don't give you anything, man. And a lot of those one-run games, when you've got Volantis at the end who just allows you nothing, I think they win a disproportionate number of close games because of their pitching depth and their defense. So I do see Josh's point, and it's not a team that's just going to bang you with long balls like a lot of other teams in this league do, like Georgia does, like Tennessee, like Ole Miss. But Texas is leading the league and not just on run average, but run average too, because they give you just so little. I mean, this is the first time anybody's really battered this staff in SEC play.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And Grubbs hasn't pitched yet for Texas.
No.
Right? Yeah, so this was my first time to see DePlanter go, actually see him go extended a little bit. He threw over 30 pitches in one inning. That guy, what a weird delivery. I don't think he could break glass either when he's throwing it, but you could tell Texas was all in on him. That was a close game when he was in there. I think it was 4-1 at that point, and he got the bases loaded and only gave up the one run. So, I mean, I guess a positive for Texas. They still have Grubbs for game 3 as they try to avoid the sweep if Arkansas is able to hold on. But, maybe this is what Texas needed. You'd rather get this taste, in the regular season before the postseason play gets here.
I don't know if it was Texas Rocks or somebody else said, I guess they pulled a couple of starters for doing stupid stuff. There was a reference to some base running stuff here. I didn't see it. So feel free to enlighten us in the chat if you don't mind. By the way, the narrative, I'll tell you just a discussion that drives me crazy is the peaking too soon thing. As if you because what are you supposed to do? Just go lose a series in the middle of the year just for the heck of it so you don't peak? Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's really – I don't know if that's a controllable thing sometimes. It's a convenient narrative to explain stuff, but I just never bought that.
Yeah. Man, chat's being kind of rough on Slosh right now. Guys, you know how many teams in the country would take Slosh as the head coach?
Just about all of them.
Almost every single one. The man was a runner-up a season ago, so I think he'll get one at some point, but it's not easy winning the whole thing. Chat says 1 out, runner on first and second, pop out to the catcher, and both guys took off. So, yikes.
Say what? Oh, yeah. They must have thought it was 2 outs.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty inexcusable.
Yeah, Josh, I know Tennessee's not going to take Sloss. Of course,
no, I don't think that'll happen.
They might be the only one.
He will not be going back to College Station. That's 2.
Yeah, yep. Everybody else is fair game.
Yeah, pretty much. Vandy's got a shot to run rule it here with 2 outs in the 8th. And we'll have to wait a little longer because guy got hit by the pitch.
It feels like the offense is starting to come around for Vandy. Again, they're never going to be a home run hitting team, but
we'll see. I mean, tonight they did a lot of the damage against bullpen guys that are not Alabama's top guys. So I'm going to withhold a little bit of judgment. But if R.J. Austin can start hitting for power, that helps him a lot because they've not had that all year.
Yeah.
All right, Josh with maybe the topic of the night.
No doubt.
I don't know if you call them rain shenanigans or what you call them. But you had the mess in Knoxville, and then you had the thing in South Carolina where Florida's thrown a little shade at Carolina for starting the game, and then they throw Liam Peterson, 5 pitches, and now I guess he's done.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say about this. So, guys, this is the second week in a row that this has happened for Auburn. So I had that game last Friday, Auburn, Mississippi State. So the exact same thing happened. So Butch Thompson was in his dugout, and then Chris Lamone. When you're the visiting coach, like you don't really have the power. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you're
Yeah.
essentially at the default of the home team. So the way it works is the two head coaches will get together, and it's the head coach's decisions, mostly the home team head coach, and then whatever the coaches decide, the umpires essentially just go with it. Now, they have the power to overturn it, but you very rarely see it. So I think it's a benefit for Auburn that this is literally the second week in a row. Like, it works last week for Auburn. I mean, I showed up at Plainsman Park, Chris. It was sunny. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. And then we're getting closer to first pitch, and they're like, we're in a weather delay. And everybody was like, what are we talking about here? What do you
Yeah.
mean weather delay? And then the next thing you know, like an hour after first pitch was scheduled, the bottom fell out. So that time it worked for both Arkansas and Mississippi State. Neither pitcher really got hot, and both pitchers were able to go. So this one tonight, I don't have any idea what Tony Vitello, like, what his thought process was. If any of the Tennessee fans in the chat have like heard him in his post-game press conference, I hope he got asked about it. But I mean, just a bizarre move. And it's a benefit for Auburn because Butch has been doing this forever, and he just did it a week ago. And so he stalled as much as he could to prevent Sam Dutton from getting hot. Dutton never really got hot, never threw a pitch. And then Doyle is probably burnt. And
Yeah.
like the home run, I see Tennessee fans saying that it wasn't a home run from Ike Irish. Like, I'd have to look at it again.
I
I don't
watched it.
know. I don't know why they didn't review it. They should have looked at it, probably because of the weather, and they just were like, we can't afford to like delay here. But what, like, if you wonder why Ike Irish is considered like a top 10 pick, it's for things like that. In a monsoon, lefty, he goes oppo. It either hits the top of the wall or hits the home run.
Well, two things. If you've ever been in a press box during that, you've got all kinds of people, team personnel walking around checking computer radar screens and making calls and looking at, okay, well, there's a front here, there's a front behind it. There's usually a good bit of care that goes into that. I don't know why. Again, I think it's Tennessee's call to start things. I don't know why they would do that, but you do see sometimes, like, you don't see a drop for a while, and everybody's like, "Why are you doing this?" And then the rain comes, and you're like, "Oh, that's why." That's number one. I went back and watched that play several times. I had to slow it down to hit the pause and then hit the toggle switch to where you're kind of going backwards and forwards. I think what happened, because at first I thought the ball hit the wall and bounced back. First of all, it was really dark in that park and it was raining. It was difficult to see. But there was a little bit, if you slowed it down and really looked at it, there was an extended period of time where you didn't see the ball, and then it just kind of came back. And I'm pretty sure what happened, there's like right behind the outfield wall, there's like a bench or a table or something. I think it maybe ricocheted around between that and the wall and then bounced back on the field. I think that's what happened after I spent – it took me a while to figure it out. But after I watched it a couple of times, like, I never saw the ball hit the green, but I did see it appear again. And I think what happened is, if you watch the trajectory of the ball, it looked like it disappeared over the top of the wall by a few feet. And I think it hit a couple things and then bounced back on the field. But I can see how, like, if you watched it a couple times and didn't slow it down, you would think it hit the wall, because it did kind of look that way.
What do you make of what Butch did and tried to stall and delay as much as possible, and the fact that they even started the game at all?
Walk me through again what happened again, because I had an ear listening to you, but eyes on a couple of games when you were going through some of that.
So, hold on, let me pull up the feed. So I think whatever time they were going to start the game. Now remember, I was broadcasting the game at the same time all this is going on. So whenever they were going to start the game, they started, they stopped. It felt like they started and stopped a couple times. And then like when Liam Doyle, like, he got hot and ready, and like when he was on the mound, like we saw it with Ike Irish, like I mean, it was pouring down rain.
Yeah.
And it was the 2-run home run, and then Butch just did anything and everything that he could to like prevent Dutton from essentially just going out there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then the next thing you know, the game gets pushed to 11 a.m. the next day.
I mean, I feel like you could have seen that coming a mile away. Like you watched the footage, it was pouring rain. Like I don't know why they ever started the game. I mean, I wouldn't want to burn my ace either. I get that it's not, not even handed what that Tennessee burned is, and Butch Thompson didn't burn his guy, but I wouldn't. Doesn't mean I'd want to go ahead and put myself in that spot either. I mean, they just should have never started the game.
Well,
And I don't
Josh
know why. I don't know why they did.
He says the forecast tomorrow is just as bad, and obviously, like you can't play multiple games on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's your answer. I didn't know the weather's. I feel like the weather's bad everywhere, by the way, except for Oklahoma. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I mean, it was wild. Like I get in my room and just look at social media, and this is all that anybody's talking about. And then we have a similar situation in the Florida game. We'll dive into that later. But I mean, I'm absolutely fascinated to see what Tony says. I mean, I don't even know if he spoke to the media tonight, but it just seemed like everybody was. It just seemed like everybody was confused. Like, why would you start and then stop and then start and then stop and then just push it to tomorrow?
Am I dreaming this, or were they thinking about moving the game up a couple hours? I could have sworn that text got exchanged between us in our chat, but I could have dreamed it.
Hold on, I'm on right now. So,
by the way, Birch's hashtag WPS. Thank you for your kind super chat there, and boy, your Hogs are playing some ball tonight. We appreciate you being here. Sorry.
All right, so boy, even Zakai Ziegler were supposed to throw out the first pitch tonight. So they did move the game up. They moved the game to 5:30 Eastern time, and then it got pushed back to 6 p.m. Eastern time, and then pushed back to 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Then they're underway, and then they wanted to resume again at 8:45 Eastern time, and then they got in a delay again, and then by that time, that's when they moved it to the next day.
Do you have the tweet that about the Florida game that we were passing around pre-show?
Yeah, let me find it,
because that's another discussion point, and that one could really hurt Florida because Liam Peterson threw 5 pitches. They restarted at 10:15 Eastern, and he did not come back in the game, not surprisingly.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this is Gator Diamond Pod, which does a good job covering Florida baseball. Florida radio broadcast implying that South Carolina was involved in gamesmanship by letting Liam Peterson start the inning, knowing bad weather was approaching. Peterson was hot coming off the mound, tossed the baseball towards the South Carolina dugout, and barked at their dugout as he walked off the mound.
Okay, now I was reading one of our buddy Trey Wallace's tweets.
I saw that too.
And I think the rule is that the home team has say in starting the game, correct? But the umpires can stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Trey, if you go on Trey's feed, like he literally posts the rule. Like he took a picture of it and put it on social media.
Yeah. But I mean, if you are – here's the thing, though. If an umpire can stop a game at any time, there's no reason your guy couldn't go out there, throw 5 pitches, and have the same thing happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's riskier. And I guess the reason the road team doesn't do it, it's hard to win on the road. And if you give the road teams a choice not to play a game sometime, I'm thinking you've got some coaches they'll define a reason to pass on that.
Yeah.
With some of the home team records in this league. So I sort of understand the rule. I do think I don't know. That just puts everybody in a bad position where the call comes from the home team dugout on when to start or whether to start. I just don't like that. And especially, I don't know, it feels like there's a better way, especially when we're deep into an SEC race and a decision like that could decide a league title. It could decide a regional bid or a national seed, and that just doesn't feel right.
Josh says it's unethical. We need to call out Butch and Paul Marineri.
Well,
I just think in that spot, like, it clearly benefits the visiting team, right? Like Auburn tonight, like if Tennessee's like we're gonna play, and then like
well, I mean, it didn't benefit the visiting team in Colombia. That's what I'm saying is like, if you have a crystal ball and you're like, okay, 5 minutes after our guy throws the first pitch, it's going to come down so hard we're not going to play. That's one thing that can happen to you. The other thing that can happen to you is it just keeps kind of raining steadily and it's good enough for a play on. So that's my point is you don't really know.
right. Let me pull it. Let me see if Butch talked to the media. I doubt he did. Just a lot of fireworks.
Why doesn't that call come from Birmingham? I mean, they have weather radar too. Get on the horn with the umpires. I just think when you have that call coming from somewhere else, that puts everybody in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, just because Tennessee lost its ace, if I'm Butch Thompson, that doesn't mean I want to lose mine too. I'm not saying what happened to Tennessee is fair. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I can understand it.
Chris, what's your take on what Josh just said?
Oh, I think all coaches pull gamesmanship, but I'm not going to get into taking shots at coaches or I mean, look, everybody. I think everybody in Butch Thompson's position would have tried not to pitch Sam Dutton.
Yeah. Also, I don't think either head coach spoke to the media.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't after a rain out. I mean, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Also, forget they're an hour ahead of us.
Yeah.
I'm stunned that Florida South Carolina resumed.
Yeah.
Like I'm amazed at that. I don't know what the weather looks like tomorrow in South Carolina, but that surprised me.
Well, Florida's already run through Peterson, Philpott, and McNeely. So even if Florida gets out of tonight with the win, and look, it's salvation. Maybe what's left of South Carolina's pitching staff isn't great either, but that really hurts. I don't know if you can bring back Peterson for maybe short relief or medium relief maybe on Sunday. I guess that could be a possibility. But by the way, did you see how Vanderbilt won?
No, what happened?
Back-to-back hit batsman run rule.
Most Vanderbilt way ever.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Gators have scored 3 runs here, so they made it interesting. All right, I'm looking. Nathan Hall is in the lineup.
Okay.
For South Carolina. I knew that was kind of like I guess a game time decision. And
Man, if you
out.
can name half that lineup and you're not a Carolina fan, you're a diehard SEC fan.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially with Petrie out. Man, talk about a late finish. They're in the top 5th. Now, I did see. Did you see that picture in College
I
Station?
sent it to you.
Yeah, you could.
That was a mess.
You could barely see the outfield wall.
They waited till there's a foot of water before calling it. That was. I'm pretty sure I could look at that picture and know they were not going to play ball, Bart.
Wes May, I say, play on, boys. If there's no lightning, let's play. When last week at Auburn at Plainsman Park, like they put like they were tracking the lightning, and when it was within 8 miles, like they would put it on the video board with the clock counting down.
That's a rule.
So like it would be like 2.5 miles away from the stadium, 29 minutes and like 15 seconds, and it would just count down.
Yeah, anytime there's a lightning strike within 8 miles of the ballpark, you're in an automatic delay.
Yeah, but I never seen it on the I knew that was the rule. I just had never seen it on the video board like that.
Oh, I've been through one of those too where you had multiple lightning delays because of the
Mhm.
rule, and I don't know that it rained a drop of water in a few of those.
Yeah, those are frustrating. I've had some
Yeah.
of those too.
Those always seem to happen in regionals too.
Oh
Now
yeah.
that's where this really gets tricky. Like, can
Hmm.
you imagine if this happened in like a Saturday night winners bracket regional game? But you know
Yeah,
what? I've been in the press box when that happens. They are super careful about starting games in those circumstances.
you got to because I mean you're looking at potentially spilling over till Monday because one team can't play 3 games in a day. You know.
I think Florida has just tied it up with the home run. Was that Donay?
Yeah, looks like it. 4-4, top of the fifth. Boy, it
Not a
just
lot of people at that one.
no. Well, you knew it wouldn't be after the delay and what it's almost midnight there. That's the opposite of Alex Box Stadium. There's not going to be 6,000 people there at 1:30 in the morning.
No, it's sad to see what that place has become. That program is a shell of what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I know what you can attribute it to. His name's Ray Tanner, and he switched over to the AD role. So moving forward, I am curious. You know, like what they look like moving forward, especially NIL wise. Like they had a good year in football. Everybody knows what they are in women's basketball. Like who gets more NIL, men's basketball or baseball at South Carolina?
Honestly, this is not, well, I'm thinking something. I don't know whether I should say it, but
Goat, let her rip, tater chips. Come on, what you got
well,
for football wise?
let me phrase it this way. I wonder what NIL for baseball would look like if women's basketball wasn't a powerhouse. You get my drift?
Oh, at South Carolina. Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You know baseball would get more. Um, by the way, for South Carolina football, just since we're on their NIL, Todd McShay, who has a fantastic podcast and college football and like the NFL and all that stuff, he went over his mock draft for next year. He's got 3 or 4 South Carolina players as first round picks. He's got Lenore Sellers as a top 6 pick. So my
Man,
point is, if they're going to be that good, if they have that many first round picks, those guys aren't playing for free.
no, no. Got a few guys on defense too.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. We haven't really spent a lot of time talking Arkansas, Texas, and that was not intentional.
Well, if Arkansas holds on, they got what 2 outs, 2 runners on base here. Um, this is exactly what they needed. You know, again, they've lost 2 home series out of the last 26. They haven't lost 4 conference series in a row in over a decade. So, like, this is really unfamiliar territory for them. We knew they were good. I just kind of think 2 things worked out for them. They're finally back home and they're playing Texas. So for all the old heads out there that are Arkansas fans and I guess Texas fans, like this means more. I think it means more to Arkansas fans than Texas fans, but you could just feel like this was a weekend that Arkansas seemed to circle.
Yeah. Arkansas was the more desperate team. Texas has got a couple of weekends to play with. Not that you want to get in the habit of doing that, but
Mm-hmm.
and I agree
Also,
with Josh. I think the national championship this year is wide open.
I agree too. What would you attribute that to?
I think the same thing I'd attribute to it in football. Just the
Parity?
conditions, parity. You've got, NIL and the portal have just really evened things out.
I think, and I just think more teams, especially in the SEC, care about baseball now.
Yes,
I mean,
that too.
I think it's 15 of the 16. And how many would you say like really care and are invested? Double digits?
Well, we know one that's not for sure. And the one that I wonder about a little bit is South Carolina, just because I don't see the appetite for it there that I used to, which is astonishing if you live through the run that they had
Yeah.
from 2011 to 13, and really it went beyond that. What was it, 2010 to 12, where they went back to back and almost back to back?
It's whenever Ray
Yeah,
Tan
yeah, and then he stepped down, and it's not been the same since. So that's been 13 years. It doesn't feel that long, but like they would pack the park. They were passionate. They were knowledgeable, and I
Yeah.
just don't see the same. And look, that of course that's what happens when you're winning national titles, and then you're not even making regionals half the time. I get it, but I wonder.
Well, they got the new
How much of
stadium.
that was winning and how much of that is being baseball fans? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, they got the new stadium on campus. They got the minor league baseball team. I think they still got the abandoned minor league baseball stadium as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like Capital City Bombers, I think was the team that folded there. But like, I don't know. That's a good point. Like, were Carolina fans like just super excited because like this was a sport that they were winning at a high level and winning national championships, and it was like their first taste of it, and now they haven't had it in almost 15 years. So, when you lose them, you lose them. I don't know.
Well, that wasn't their first taste of success, though. They were like really good for several years before they won the first one.
Yeah, they were like, oh, I remember like the Landon Powell days. By the way,
Yep.
he's going to be a head coach in the SEC.
He's a D3 head coach, isn't he? Somewhere
D2.
D2. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, in the state of South Carolina. So like,
Greenville, right?
yeah, so like
Yeah.
he was on the short list. I don't know how real it was, but he was on the list when they opened up the search. Wes
Speaking
has
of
been
commitment,
he's been dropping all kinds of stuff. So I
yeah.
forgot this. I did see it. Oklahoma women's basketball, who had a really good year this past season, they just spent 1.5 million on the number one player in the country for women's basketball.
Goodness.
And Wes May says, "Imagine if the baseball team was spending like that." Yeah,
Yeah.
imagine.
Well, I mean, Skip is really good at finding guys that nobody else is finding in value, and that you can. And so, like, there's a little bit of thing where like almost be careful what you wish for because the blueprints work pretty well. But I
Mhm.
mean, oh my goodness, what is South Carolina doing here? Um, I would, I would love to find out. I mean, you know what I mean?
What he would look like with blue chippers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's not the way I put it. The Witherspoons are blue chippers. They got some other blue chippers on that team,
Yeah,
but it's
but
not. But it's not like when you look at Baseball America's draft ratings that just came out this week, and it's like Tennessee, LSU, Tennessee, LSU.
mhm.
Oklahoma's got a couple guys in there, but it's not. It's not the presence of the top heavy teams.
Yeah, I don't know. It like good news for Oklahoma if that's accurate. $30 million on a ballpark after the season. Like, is that Love's money? Like, who's got the pockets in Oklahoma?
I bet Wes will know.
I bet he does know.
Was that Did you see what happened in Colombia here just a second ago?
I still got Texas, Arkansas.
I don't know
Let
if
me.
that was just a ball that found a hole between a bunch of guys. Oh my goodness, Florida's just hit a grand slam. That's 8-4. They
Mm,
catch that ball the play before. It's 4-4. They're out of the inning.
Wes says it's oil money.
Okay. That was Ty Evans. My goodness, Ty Evans. who's been a complete non-factor for them this year. And I think he's been hurt, hasn't he? Am I dreaming that?
I don't think he's been 100%. Hold on, I'm trying to find it on the wonderful ESPN app.
Gosh, that ball was smoked.
So, main takeaways for you tonight. What are they?
I mean, it's got to be Arkansas.
Well,
You wanted to see if Wood and Gackle could double up and dominate, which they did. I mean, coming off the heels of Root last night, you got to feel great. Now, I wonder if an Arkansas fan's in the chat, let us know what's going on with ADVERTISE, because they're going TBA tomorrow, last I checked, and he's been game 3 or maybe game 2 all year. So I don't know if that's injury or effectiveness or what that is, but
well, the duo, we brought this up yesterday. Like, which duo do you trust more? We haven't seen Grubbs yet for Texas, but obviously the duo tonight of Wood. Also, like, I'm assuming that was a pitch count thing. Like, he was cruising for Wood. I mean, he threw under 60 pitches and they yanked him. He had 9 strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, he was their closer last year. I just don't know how deep he's gone into games. He's missed part of the season, I believe. So that's probably he's only thrown 10 innings coming into this weekend. I think that's let's be really careful with Gage Wood, because if we're making a run at the end of the season, he's going to be a big part of it. Yeah. Birchie says he's on a pitch count, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Tell us what's up with Vital Sheets, please, somebody.
Yeah, by the time I got in my room, I caught the tail end of Wood, and then they turned it over to Gackle.
All right, Blatarski says we're not acknowledging enough people in the chat. All right, we'll do better. We do have a lot of people in the chat tonight. We're watching that, and we're watching 2 ball games. So
yeah, I'm trying to find.
Ignoring anybody is not intentional.
No, I'm trying to find the South Carolina game. I'm not seeing it on the app. Here it is. Long night in Colombia. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Did you see the ball Ty Evans hit?
Yeah.
I mean, that was hit a mile. See, that's another thing. Like, Ty Evans is a guy that could do some stuff for Florida. If he gets going, I think he did that last year in their postseason.
He did. Somebody just said it in the chat. I think it was Josh, that if Florida gets healthy, watch out. I mean, I would say this team has been bitten by the injury bug the worst of anybody this season.
No doubt. Well, I mean, there's I mean, there's going to be limits on that. Curlin and Jones are done for the year. They did just get Coppola back for the first time in about 6 weeks. Yeah, although I don't trust him to stay healthy for any length of time. But hey, if he does, I mean, when he's on, he's a tremendous arm. Menendez is out for the year, so that's another one. So that's 3 guys, 2 hitters and a pitcher. But I mean, Peterson, King, Clemente, McNeely, Barlow, Philpott, Matthew Jenkins, perhaps. Jenkins has been hurt, though. Coppola, I mean, they got enough really talented arms. Now, they're not the most polished bunch you'll see. But, I mean, you saw a lot of those guys I just named pitch their best ball last year while they were making the run in Clemson, and then wherever their super was, and then in Omaha.
Do you think we'll see Peterson on Sunday?
Probably depends on how close. I mean, I think if it's a tight ball game, you have to throw him.
Yeah, I think if they're a big on Sunday, why do it? But if it is close, Might as well.
And that's the thing. If I'm Kevin O'Sullivan, I'm just going crazy because your next two series are Texas and Arkansas. And that RPI, the metrics are great, and maybe the committee will do something and let in like an 11 and 19 Florida, but that would be history, and I wouldn't want to try it. And I think they would deserve it under the circumstances. But
Well,
you can't afford to drop a couple, and maybe not any this weekend. And starting off the weekend without your best arm is not the way you wanted to do it.
no, but we keep saying it because it matters. They got Scott Strickland in their back pocket.
Yeah. And they're, 18 in the RPI as of today?
Yeah, they're up there. Josh said it, and it's hard to disagree with him. He said he's not being reactionary, but he thinks Arkansas, when they're playing at a level they can, they're the best team in the country.
That's what I said before they went on their skid.
With you.
Well, and the reason I'm not as sure is their pitching just has not been as consistent. But man, if tonight is and last night is a sign of what's coming, I mean, we've said. Remember, you guys asked me today, would you rather take the two guys we could see for Texas tonight? I don't remember which two we picked.
It was Harrison and Grubbs.
Yeah, or Gackle and Wood. Do you remember what my answer was?
Gackle and Wood.
Well, no, I said it depends. Are you looking for consistency or are you looking for upside? And that's the thing. Gackle and Wood have not been as consistent, but man, that is exhibit A of when it works for those two dudes. That's what you get.
Mm-hmm. Vandy's record lives another year. Do you think that's a record that'll ever get broken?
No.
You think so?
No, I don't think it'll get broken.
I don't know. Never's a long time.
Did you watch college football this year?
Yeah.
You know, where the 8 seed won the title in a sport where that doesn't happen, I think you're seeing the same thing in college baseball.
Well, remember, Boise State was a 4 seed, so.
Well, no, that's not my point. My point is there's just so much parity, it's hard to dominate like that.
That's the big thing. I guess my question for college baseball. So we've seen it in college football, like the days of peak Alabama, peak Georgia, just like stockpiling talent. Those days are over in college football. Is that going to be the case in baseball? Like, are you going to have teams, to be able to rack up a bunch of dudes like too deep at every position? Like bullpen is great, or some of those guys are going to trickle out and go to some of these other programs in the SEC or ACC.
Well, okay. You have some of that right now. Like Tennessee could have 4 first-rounders on its roster right now. This June. Peterson, Doyle, Fisher, Keelan, and Curley all could go in the first round. In fact, I think BA's got them all as first-rounders right now. I think Fisher was 31, but you get my point. And LSU's got a little bit of a beauty pageant. Although LSU's got, like, Kate Anderson's going to be a first-rounder. And then they got a bunch of guys after that who'll be maybe top 100 picks. I don't know if Jared Jones is, but he's a college baseball superstar. So you've got some teams that have done that. But then look what happened to Tennessee. They can't get past Kentucky a couple of weekends ago because of style of ball, because the middle part of the league has gotten super competitive. And you put Kentucky's roster and Tennessee's roster side by side, and 100 out of 100 baseball people would take the same thing, make the same choice. But baseball's a funny sport, and styles can give teams problems, and that one did. And I think what I'm getting at, I think the middle and the lower part of the league have picked up so much.
That, to me, that's the difference between the SEC and the ACC.
Yeah.
The ACC is so top heavy. That's the
difference. Josh, you're wrong about this. I do think 22 Tennessee was more, and I think it was when you went Burns, Dolander, and Beam. I mean, I always start the discussion with starting pitching. Vandy 14 was a team that was really talented. The names on paper were great, but that team gelled at the end of the season. And those guys became what they became then.
We also
Actually, Josh, 26-3 Vandy was 13. The year before they won the national title, that team got knocked out by Louisville in the Super. 14 was the team that won it all.
How does 22 Tennessee stack up against 25 Mizzou? I don't even want to imagine what those scores would be.
Boy, we might have a 4-inning run rule just for that series.
Yeah.
JP's wanting to know the record. That's the 26-3 in the league.
Yeah, just a ridiculous number. If Wood was healthy all year, he's easily the best pitcher in the SEC. I mean, obviously he looked good tonight, but I mean, Liam Doyle has been awesome. So has Kyson Witherspoon. South Carolina just hit a home run.
No, nobody's walking away with pitcher of the year easily in this league. And I know how good Gage Wood can be, but Kyson Witherspoon would like a word here. And so would Liam Doyle. And Cade Anderson on the right night. I mean, if Anderson hadn't thrown 135 pitches, was that in Norman? And his next two starts were down.
Yeah.
He got hit a little bit. I mean, he'd be in that conversation, but the way these guys are pitching, 2 bad starts are enough to disqualify you.
This South Carolina game I feel like we're watching a game like during the COVID season where like nobody shows up. This place is just empty.
All right, they've got Caden McDonald on now. That's who gave up the bomb to Chase Foyda. And McDonald is one of he's 9th on their team in innings pitched, so they don't have the luxury of going the lower half of the staff tonight.
Yeah.
Aiden King's going to need the start of his season tomorrow, and he's capable.
Well, it's good that
What was that, by the way? You got an alarm?
That was my wife texting me.
Oh.
Just our 3-month-old woke up and she finally was able to put her down. What was I gonna say? Oh, I keep forgetting this is game 1. Like the Thursday, Friday, Saturday series throw me off. So I was like, wait, Aiden King is going on game 3?
Oh, I turned my head and Arkansas is done. So that one's in the books now. 6-1 final for the Razorbacks, who've taken the series, first team to take the series from Texas all year.
Yeah, fun game to watch. Again, record crowd, season best attendance-wise tonight. Bohm Walker. I thought it was cool. They were touching on Arkansas is one of the few ballparks that has like the organist that'll play. That just makes you feel like you're at a baseball game,
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that does settle. I think barring just an absolute collapse, Arkansas is going to be a national seed now. Which is not like a shock, I know, but there's so many teams in the mix that could be there with gaudy RPIs in the SEC. But I think they're 16-7 now. They've got who? They got Georgia and Florida. I mean, Arkansas just needs to get to 18, and that's a national seed.
Oh, well, yeah, I think they'll definitely get there. What you said was it 4 national seeds that we put out?
I think did we put 5 in there?
Let me pull it up.
I think we had 8 hosts.
8, maybe 9 hosts. All right, Tennessee, Vandy, Georgia, LSU, Arkansas, Texas.
Yeah. Georgia, by the way, I was kind of interested to see what would happen to Georgia's RPI after just playing Missouri, and Georgia still won.
Yeah, one thing, it's in the chat here. It's a good point. Like Arkansas, their close is tough. Like they got LSU and Baton Rouge, and then they got Tennessee.
Yeah, but here's the thing for Arkansas. Come into today, and this is according to the RPI needs report at Boyd's World, which is a staple this time of year. They had 8 games left, needed to win 2 or 3 of its regular season games to get a top 8 RPI. So now that number is 1-2 with 7 to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think they've just about clinched a national.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Texas needs one more win to clinch a top 8 RPI after the regular season.
I agree with Will Sample in the chat. Texas is similar to Arkansas last year, super dependent on pitching. They don't have quite enough offense to get over the hump against teams that pitch at a high level.
Man, I don't know. I'll tell you why I don't know that I agree with that. They're going to be playing home all the way to Omaha, and when they get to Omaha, that is the exact kind of park that favors teams like Texas.
It is, yeah. Unless you're Tennessee and just hitting home runs no matter what.
Right. But hey, if the wind blows in out there, then good luck to you.
Yeah. Yeah, Texas isn't done. I mean, nobody's saying they're done, but
no, heck no.
This was a big test for them this weekend, and Arkansas was ready for it.
Okay, RPI check. Sometimes this takes a couple minutes to update, but I think it's current. Georgia 1, Texas 2, Vanderbilt 3, Arkansas 4, Auburn 5, followed by Florida State, LSU, Clemson, North Carolina, Tennessee.
Where was Clemson after their rough weekend last week?
They're 8 right now.
Okay. By the way, I was listening to Kendall Rogers' interview today, and he got asked about their top 25, and I don't know. It was just interesting listening to him talk, and he was basically just saying not a lot of movement because a lot of these teams are about to play each other. Like if Ole Miss wins in Norman, like Ole Miss would skyrocket. Same with Clemson. Like Clemson, I think they played a marathon game tonight. So they didn't move anybody drastically one way or the other because a lot of these teams are playing down the stretch.
I get it, but then why put out a ranking?
Good point. But he was on Super Talk Mississippi yesterday, I think, and obviously was touching on the coaching search for Mississippi State, and then got asked about, remember, like 2 weeks ago, Ole Miss was number 6 in the D1 poll, and now they're 23rd or 21, whatever it is.
Yeah. Somebody wants to know who you are. Regular viewer to the other stuff.
Who I am. I'm from Oxford, Mississippi. I went to Ole Miss. I graduated from Ole Miss in 2010, and I knew pretty early that I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. So I broadcast a lot for Ole Miss and a lot around the SEC, ACC, Big 12. Mostly TV side, but radio wise, like I do a good amount for Ole Miss on the radio side. So I guess that's it. My wife went to Mississippi State. Everybody in my family went to an SEC school, mostly Ole Miss State. We got some Texas A&M sprinkled in there. So that's, I guess, a rundown. Live in Oxford. Wife works on campus at Ole Miss. Is that good enough?
Where are the travels taking you to?
So this weekend I got softball this weekend. So I got North Carolina State softball and they are playing Auburn.
Okay. I don't know how you do it, that and a newborn.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Wife and I had a baby, or she delivered the baby, I should say, in January. So we got a 3-month-old.
By the way, looking at the national scoreboard tonight, some stuff of note is it might affect the SEC. TCU lost to Arizona. TCU is a team that's looking at a potential hosting spot, although probably not a national seed. So if you're in the SEC, you'll like that. Oh, Cincinnati beat Kansas. I don't think Kansas is good enough to host. But I guess if it, ran the table.
I think in Big 12 wise, you're looking at West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's it.
Notre Dame beat Louisville. Louisville had a chance to host, still does. Here's another one. NC State got beat by Miami tonight.
Miami's on fire, though. They've won like 9 or 10 in a row.
Yeah, I think the thing is State was on top of the ACC, so a lot of people were projecting if they won the league, they could get a hosting spot, even though the RPI is probably not going to be there. I mean, they might get top 16, but they're not. National seed RPI is out of the question. Oh, here's another one. Oregon, which has the weirdest resume around, got shut out by Joseph Zierwa in Michigan State tonight. Which, by the way, have you seen the field at Michigan State?
Is it artificial surface?
No, they've got a super short porch and right. I think there's a river that runs right behind maybe the right field fence. I'm not sure. And they've got a little bit of a hill right in front of it.
Can you imagine how cold it's there in February?
Oh, yeah.
And Josh, I agree with you about the ACC. That conference is like way more wide open than the SEC is. Like what Texas has I guess, is it a 3-game lead now Texas has above everybody else? ACC is up for grabs.
Yeah. Here's another one by the way, Oregon, I think, has now lost like 12 or 13 games in quads 3 and 4, which is why I do not think they're going to be a national seed. And I do not understand their ranking in the polls. But
it's because they beat Oregon State. I mean,
I get it. But does the bad not matter too?
Yeah, it does.
The other one, UC Irvine got pounded by UC San Diego tonight. And I think UCSD is not a good team, so that might really send them tumbling down the RPI.
Yeah.
I'm not too bad. They're 14.
I did not know there was a difference between UCSD and USD. Like, I had no idea they were two different places.
Yeah. I learned that a couple years ago too. USD is a Catholic school.
Is it?
Uh-huh. In fact, my son's youth baseball coach was a scholarship baseball player there. And UCSD is obviously state school.
Yeah, D1 guys, they always do the West Coast thing. I feel that's a committee thing too, by the way.
I think them putting Irvine as a national seed, and I think that's a good team, don't get me wrong, but that felt like a reach to me.
Yeah.
A host, sure. A national seed, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think didn't you say it? And you put them in the SEC. Like, are they going to finish top 10?
No, in fact, they couldn't even get to top 8 in RPI before today, and that's before a loss to RPI 175.
Mm-hmm. By the way, South Carolina is knocking on the door here.
Yeah. By the way, Josh, I got to take up for Aaron. I know Aaron, known him pretty well for a while. Real good dude and knows his stuff. Is an ACC guy, I guess. I mean, went to North Carolina, but
Aaron
lives in that territory too. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, they've had good baseball in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't win the Natty back in the Andrew Miller days.
Josh's beef is that Aaron hates the SEC. I don't think that's true. I've run into Aaron at many an SEC event. And Kendall Rogers, too, although not as much anymore. Kendall used to live in Nashville. I used to see him all the time.
Really? Is he in Texas now?
Yeah, that's where he's from.
Yeah.
Kendall was in Nashville back when Rivals was doing baseball coverage on a national scale.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he and Mark Etheridge got their starts. So I knew those guys back then.
Gotcha. And Will, that was a fun series. Like that, the Arkansas, North Carolina, was that regionals or super regionals? Whatever it was, that experience opened up the athletic administrations, for North Carolina. I think that series kind of opened up their eyeballs. If it's like this in the SEC for baseball, well, what is it like, for football?
Yeah.
Yeah, supers. I thought it was the supers.
Yeah, I remember they had a senior that was a kid that really took off that year that I remember pitched them, kind of won it for them. I can't think of his name. So one of our Arkansas fans in the chat will know it. Connor Nolan, thank you. I remember watching Connor Nolan.
Yeah, Connor Nolan was the one that was awesome against Ole Miss in Omaha.
Yeah. He kind of had a pop-up really good senior year. I think ended up getting drafted out of it too. Yeah. Jim wants to know Ole Miss's other weekend two starters. They've gone Nichols and Maddox. Is that the wrong order, though?
We flip-flop them. So Riley Maddox will go tomorrow. He's been red hot the last 3 weeks. Jim, he's a sinker ball pitcher, so he relies on his defense. And then Mason Nichols, he's been in Ole Miss since JFK was in office. He's been a guy that has been in the bullpen, and this year his role has been the Sunday starter. So for a Sunday guy, his goal is to get 4 or 5 innings. That's kind of what we're looking at the rest of the way.
Oh, a random question. What do we think of the Carolina uniforms tonight?
For South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
I like them. I meant to say this earlier. That Texas-Arkansas game, Hall of Fame uniform game. Holy smokes.
I think a good script is hard to beat. And pinstripes, throw those in too. There's nothing obnoxious about any of it. It's just a clean design. Florida's got some good ones too tonight. I mean, really, the SEC is a pretty good uniform league. You have a few, some of Vandy's combos are bad. Tennessee's black combo, I think, is hideous. And Missouri's, a lot of Missouri's is just bad.
A&M has one. A&M has one uniforms. It's not maroon, not white. It's what are we doing? Hold on. Got a lot of questions in here. Josh, why won't Bianco start more? Do you mean Morris?
Mason Morris? Because he's been so good in that role.
Well, trust me, this has been the conversation among Ole Miss fans. Is Morris going to start at some point? So I don't know. We'll see. But his role this year has been piggybacking Hunter Elliott. He didn't go tonight. It was McCausland. So but he's been awesome.
Trace's uniform guy says the Georgia Texas uniforms. I agree. I'll tell you the other one I don't like. I don't like the Mississippi State 1800s wanted poster font.
The which one?
The weird font that they have on the uniforms. I call it the 1800s. I know that's sacrilege in your state.
Don't say that in the state of Mississippi, Chris.
I just don't like it.
That's been one of their standards forever.
I know.
How did Furness end up at Ole Miss? Did LSU not go after him, or did he just pick Ole Miss? I mean, I don't know. It's happened a lot. Luke Hill, he's from Baton Rouge. He went to Arizona State coming out of high school and then transferred to Ole Miss. And then David DeLucci, another one from Baton Rouge, and had a great career at Ole Miss. And he was a big leaguer for over a decade. Sometimes kids just don't go to LSU.
Somebody like the powder blues.
The red, white, and blues are George Herbert Walker Bush. Okay. My thing is like when I turn on a game and I'm like, what team? Like this doesn't look like A&M or this doesn't look like Vandy. Who is this? Because Vandy has the green, and then they got the pinstripe blacks.
See the pinstripe blacks, the all black. That's just too much.
Will, you're wrong. He doesn't like the Ole Miss powder blues on Sundays. That's a Sunday uniform only, Will.
Yeah.
I politely agree.
I'm not as big on those, but that's a classic down there at Ole Miss too. That's like
it's been that way forever. Also, like Major League Baseball, everybody in the 80s, that's what they wore back then.
Yeah. Anthony's wondering. Yeah, I was at the 98 one in Omaha when Eddie was playing down. That team could hit bombs like you wouldn't believe. Now, that was a different bat era. But they had him. They had Brandon Larson, who hit like 40 that year, and a couple other guys. They could really rake.
Will, they're rip-off of a bad Twins uniform. I say this as a Twins fan.
How do we get into uniforms tonight? Can we talk about the infield foul pop-up that turned into double play? I mean, I guess I didn't see it, but I'm guessing what happened based on what people told us is they lost track of outs because that's the only thing that made sense.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't on purpose. Just a mental error is what it seems like.
Yeah.
Also, Will, is it just the Ole Miss ones? I feel like a lot of college teams around the country are going with the powder blues. Like Louisiana Tech does it, Liberty does it.
That's the only SEC team that does it, though, right?
The powder. Well, who else would do it? You know, I don't think maybe Auburn, but they're not. They haven't done it.
Is this urban legend? I thought I heard that the way they ended up with the powder blue helmets for football was like somebody sent in the wrong color code to the manufacturer.
That was
it was an accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the Billy Brewer days.
Which is kind of cool.
If you look at the pictures, it's like the helmet is powder blue, and then they're wearing like the navy blue uniforms.
Yeah.
This was back in the 80s.
I think that one thing, the red is hard to read off the powder blue, but I'm probably being nitpicky.
He says there are a few of them that do it. Tech looks more like the old Brewers. Like, are you talking about Louisiana Tech? Yeah, Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, the white powder blue pinstripes at UNC are pretty good too.
Yeah, they are tough to beat.
Yeah, okay. Anthony says Slosh benched both the runners after that. That had to be losing track of outs. And I'm sorry, we just didn't see it. I think that was right about the time we were getting the show started.
Yeah. Or do you consider like DRK? Do you consider Chris's hat to be powder blue?
I guess it's close. I think it's a little deeper. Yeah, I don't hate powder blues. I'm just not as big on them as a lot of people are.
See, I can talk about uniforms all day long. We're just blessed to have a lot of good ones in the SEC.
Yeah, I think it is a good uniform league for the most part. Gosh, it's approaching 11:30 here, and I'm not going to stay up for the end of Florida, South Carolina.
Yeah, oh yeah, I feel bad. Like, what's the over/under of the amount of people at this ballpark when this game is over? It's got to be just family and girlfriends only, right?
I was going to say take relatives, girlfriends, and stadium personnel out of it, and it will not be a large number.
Yeah, I get it. It looks like going back to the COVID days watching this right now. They're still in the 6th inning.
Yeah. Any parting thoughts for you tonight?
I guess the main takeaway has got to be Arkansas, right? Just a rough 3-week stretch, and they're back home and in front of their biggest crowd of the season. They put on a show, so they lived up to kind of what we thought that they could be. And congratulations to Arkansas. So I picked Texas. Who'd you pick for that series? I can't remember.
I picked Texas. I was going Arkansas, and then we started reading off the injury report, and I changed my mind.
Yeah, so we both picked. I think Alford picked Texas too. So congratulations to Arkansas.
Jay took Arkansas. I think he was the only one.
Well, good for Jay. He'll make that.
And I think it wasn't just them winning that, but it's how they won the series. When you got 3 arms that throw like that, I mean, that they might be the best team in the country if that's what they get. I'm very interested to see what Vital Shees gives him tomorrow if he throws. Well, because boy, if they get him too, then they are really feeling good.
Yeah, what an option to have for a Sunday.
Yeah,
it's a good blessing to have for Arkansas. Let me answer Jim's question. He says he wants to know more about the Ole Miss beer showers. How long has it been around? A long time, Jim. I graduated in 2010, so since the mid-2000s, the way the stadium is built and designed, or it used to be, it's different now since the SEC sells alcohol. Like forever, you couldn't have any alcohol, anything inside the stadium, but the outfield, because the city owns the outfield, like you could drink in the outfield. Right field is the student section. Left field is like families and stuff, like that's where people grill out and everything. So I don't know how it started, but just whenever somebody hits a home run, you better bring an umbrella. Like as a fan, as a student, I went out there for a handful of games, and like after a while, at the the end of the game, you're just drenched, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to continue to sit out here. And nobody pays attention to the game, so that's kind of how it started.
South Carolina just turned a double play to get out of the inning. My voice is going, which is probably our cue. Rusty, one of our longtime Arkansas guys in the chat, so good to see him. Got a lot of regulars here tonight. Josh is always here. Not as many of our Texas guys tonight, but I get that. Bart was here. Bart's here. Win, lose, or draw, I think.
He is.
Texas Rocks was here. I'm sorry, he was here. Yeah, I think that was the big takeaway. Vandy, Alabama, J.D. Thompson was tremendous tonight. Kyson Witherspoon was outstanding for Oklahoma. I think Witherspoon would be my player of the night. I mean, you had some great pitching performances, but I think shutting down Ole Miss to that degree takes the cake.
I'm trying to think. I guess he would be my player tonight for Arkansas. And remember, he did it in like 62 pitches or whatever it was.
J.D. Thompson's final line was pretty impressive, though, too. He went 7 shutout, and I don't remember what the strikeout number, but it was a lot. I think he got double digits again.
Yeah. Again, pitching has not been the issue for Vandy.
No. Let's see. Tomorrow, here's what I've got written down. We've got Texas, Arkansas, 2 Central. Don't know the pitching matchups in that one yet. We've got Tennessee and Auburn doing a doubleheader starting at 10 Central, guys. So get up early for that one. You will have presumably Sam Dutton for Auburn against, I don't know what Tennessee will do there. And then game 2 will be Cam Tilley and Marcus Phillips. Alabama, Vandy, 2 Central tomorrow. Riley Quick and Cody Bowker. A&M and LSU doubleheader starting at 2. Kate Anderson against Ryan Prager, followed by Anthony Einson and Justin Lampkin. By the way, I goofed. We put Anthony Einson on the thumbnail image tonight. I don't know why. I knew he wasn't pitching. I just ordered that one up, and I can't tell you why, but that's what we did.
You're forgiven.
Yeah, thanks. Been a long year. We've got Kentucky at Mississippi State. That's a doubleheader starting at noon. Nate Harris and Pico Cone in game 1. Nick McKay and Evan Sierra, game 2. Georgia and Missouri, 7 Central. That's actually the TV game on the network. TBA versus Sam Horn. I bet that'll be Colton Smith for Georgia. That's what they've been doing lately, but we'll see. And Florida, South Carolina, 3 Central, Aiden King and Jake McCoy in that one. And then Ole Miss, Oklahoma, 4 Central, Cade Crossland and Riley Maddox.
A lot of baseball. I forgot State switched to a doubleheader too.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be here tomorrow night. I don't think. I might come late, but I'm taking my wife out for the first time in a while. We have not had a lot of weekend time, so I'm going to trust you guys to try this one tomorrow. Or wait, you'll be alone, won't you?
We'll see how it shakes out. The forecast in Auburn doesn't look good at all, so I don't know how long I'll be at the ballpark.
Yeah, I don't know what we'll do. We might even have to not do one tomorrow night because of all that. Alfred's moving and Jay's out of commission. Jim wants to know if we'll be at Hoover. I got approved for my credential today. I think we've got stuff going on at home. School ends, and my wife's having a minor surgery, but I think I'm going to get down there for a couple of days. I think it'll be the start of the tournament, though.
Okay. Jim, if you have not been, I can't recommend it enough.
It's an awesome event.
It's great for the whole family, especially kids. Like the SEC does a really fantastic job. It's been there forever. I don't see it moving anywhere anytime soon. So if you get the chance to go, you got to go. And they switched the format this year too, so a new wrinkle. I won't be there. I will be broadcasting a different conference tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys are down there and you see me, say hello. That's a little bit more where the fans are around the press a little bit more. It's an open air press box, and sometimes you just get up and walk through the concourse to stretch your legs. So I'm looking forward to going down there for that one. Back to tomorrow night. That'll be TBD for us. I don't want to leave you alone. I might get in and do it late, but to be honest, I'm just not going to be able to see a lot of baseball tomorrow. My son's got a travel game. Well, not a travel game. It's here. But we've got that right in the middle of the afternoon. I'm sure I'll be following it and watching it some, but I'm not going to be as locked in as I normally am. I know Sunday we'll do that one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about it. If we go live, we'll try to tweet out a notice, or at least if you enable notifications, you can see it that way. So may just have to take a day off tomorrow just for us all to take care of stuff, but we'll be back Sunday for sure if we do.
Yeah. And then I guess final thing, what's Hoover like? It's just a suburb of Birmingham. Like it's, the stadium is in an area where you're surrounded by trees and there's parking lots everywhere, which is a big reason why the SEC has it. The other reason why it's going to be in Hoover, like the SEC office, they like leaving the headquarters, their offices, and then just making the short trip over to Hoover to go. Like, so they don't have to go far. But I mean, there are restaurants in the area, like Hoover High School's right there. The football team played at the Hoover Met forever. I don't know if they do that anymore, but just picture Birmingham. That's what it's like.
Hoover is your typical suburban, ritzy, southern suburb. Is that a good way to put it? With the with your typical mall and decent restaurants and whatever comes with the territory.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to Hoover, like you're hanging out in Birmingham, so like just if you go, you're hanging out in Birmingham.
Yeah. That is one of my favorite sporting events of the year. And I think it's kind of meaningless in a way because, I mean, whoever wins the tournament, it doesn't matter. You're going to forget that by the time regionals start. But I'll tell you what I like about it. First of all, that the city and the people there do a phenomenal job of putting the event on, number one. And number two, I just like to go and watch the baseball because you're going to see so many future major league guys there that it's just silly.
That too. And you can get tickets are affordable, food mostly, if you're with your family. It's just a great, to me, the baseball tournament and the basketball tournament are like two of the best things that the SEC does.
Yeah, but like everything else is getting to feel corporate, like even the basketball tournament to some degree. Baseball just has a different feel to it. And that's probably biased because it's my favorite game and it's outdoors, and when it's not raining, we'll get rain delays down there too. But the weather can be beautiful, and there's just nothing like walking in to a ballpark and seeing the field, just right off the bat. There's that feeling always just is one of the best ones in the world, and it just everything about it is great.
And especially like when the crowd is split, like behind home plate, down the right field line, you'll have one fan base, and then down the other left field line, you'll have the other fan base. You get easy access to the players, like if you want pictures and autographs and all that. SEC Network is set up in the stadium.
You can actually, like, Jack Caglione was signing autographs last year, I think, and like you'll have random people there too. I can't remember who it was, but like a writer I was with was like just telling me he saw like a random major leaguer there. It was like a decently prominent guy too. Like, I don't even know why this guy would be here. He didn't go to an SEC school, so like you just run into stuff like that.
Now, I do wonder if the single elimination will impact the attendance.
Well, Eric says for LSU it will, and man, that fan base will travel for that event. They tailgate.
Yeah, LSU, the Mississippi schools, and like maybe when Auburn and Bama are good. And luckily, Auburn's good this year. Bama is definitely going to make the tournament. So we'll see.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, like teams that don't really travel, like Florida, Mizzou, super like teams that are like it's a commitment to go. Like you're not going to see a lot of Kentucky fans.
Yeah. Jim asked if this first year every team has been invited. I think it is in my memory. Because when it was a 12-team league, 10 teams went. When it was a 14-team league, 12 teams went.
Well, I don't know off the top of my head. I can't like back in the day, it was on campus before they went to Hoover. I don't know what they did back in the day. And yes, Josh, I left out Tennessee. Tennessee will travel too.
Yeah. Lots of nice words in the chat. Too many to get to, but thank you guys. We love doing this. We love our audience. You guys are great. And man, with the best part of the season's coming up, I cannot wait for postseason. I mean, I'm already getting. We're doing the regional stuff. We'll probably do that. I might try to do that Tuesday this week, Graham. Our bracket thing, our regional projections, and I'm starting to do a little bit of scouting on some of the other teams that we'll see in the tournament, so that when selection Monday's here, we'll be ready for that to kind of give you a little bit of lowdown on who your team drew in a regional. It's I don't know. To me, this time of year just is hard to beat, and we just got weeks of fun stuff ahead. We're going to be here for all of it.
And I said it last night. I'll say it again. So Chris spent a lot of time, energy, and effort on putting together like the field for projected regionals and super regionals. It's on our social media. Check it out because Chris did a fantastic job with it.
And I'll be ready to roll with it Tuesday too. Once you start doing a lot of the heavy lifting on it, it gets easier going forward, and I'm kind of at that point.
Heavy lifting on what?
Well, just all the stuff that you've got to do to put a bracket together.
Oh yeah. I can't imagine how much time, energy, and effort you put in it, and like not just the SEC. It's literally everybody.
Yeah.
Like all the group of 5 teams, like the 1-bid leagues, all that type of stuff.
Well, we enjoyed. Hopefully you guys do too. Again, may or may not be here tomorrow. We'll try to let you know just based on schedules. We'll be back at it Sunday night to recap the weekend, Monday morning power rankings, and then Tuesday regional projections, I think. Could be Wednesday, depending on how the week goes. But we'll get that to you, and then back at it Thursday Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week. Thank you guys for tuning in this late, especially with all the games canceled. Fantastic audience tonight. We appreciate all of you. For Graham Doty, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16's Friday Night Baseball Reaction. God bless you. Have a great night. We'll see you again soon.